systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday afternoon with my man Hoop, no Tambo today, so a little two-man booth right from the get-go. All we ask from you guys, like button, subscribe button, helps us out a ton. Nice little Thursday game, Hoop. 49ers, Rams, first week of best ball. Shout out to all the best ball people out there. Good luck. Season-long home leagues, usually first week for them. If you got a sweat going, it's always the best time. These last couple weeks, always cheer for the DFS teams. But I think a little more close eye on those best ball and season-long teams the next couple weeks. Hoopster, how are you doing in Survivor? I haven't asked you about that in a little while. Do you do any season-long? I know you're not in the best ball streets much, but how's it going over there and any sweats for you?
Yeah, nothing in the Survivor got wiped out. It was a few weeks back. I mean, it was bloodbath early on, and I dodged a lot of it, and it was the Saints week, but the week the Saints lost to the Panthers. I was on the Saints, so that kind of died out for me. Not much in the best ball streets, but I am in the playoff best ball streets, and I've kind of been drafting those already. And man, it's there's been some soft drafts right out of the gate. So if you are looking to get into the playoff best ball stuff, now is probably a pretty good time. And you can kind of take advantage of some of these situations. Like, you obviously don't know all the teams that are in the playoffs. We don't know who's going to be on bye. And if I recall last year, some of the teams or 2 years, some of the teams that won were kind of baffling. Like, oh, how did this person get the team? Well, it's because they drafted early and the situation kind of changed. So that's one thing for the playoff streets. Yeah, excited for this game, obviously. I mean, it's a game that's pretty appealing to teams that can move the ball offensively, a lot of offensive options on both sides. And not a ton of news that we're waiting on. So you'll be able to kind of, lock in and see where we want to be relatively early on. Then obviously we get all our content up, and you guys can head over to SHIPITNation.com and check out everything we have. But yeah, this is a good game, and excited to talk through it with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And who mentioned playoff best ball? Last year we did do a couple shows explaining best ball playoff formats. There's a very specific format. You want to get teams that you think will be to the Super Bowl. You pick two teams if they're live going there. Obviously, with the round one buys, it's a lot of like guesswork and stuff, like Hoop's saying. But you're playing for first place right now. You don't want certainty. If you draft when the playoff standings are locked in, ADPs will be a lot sharper than now when you can take shots. Like, this team has a 55% chance of the playoffs. This team has a 75% chance at round one, etc. You can be using those numbers, building plus EV teams. I bet you it's soft. So I gotta get in those streets as well.
It's very soft. One thing, just to touch on, like, somehow Jamar Chase on DraftKings in their preset rankings is still ranked like very high. He's ranked as like the 20th best like play, and he's getting drafted every single draft, and they're out of playoff contention. Like, I think are they mathematically eliminated? But
I think they might be like 1 or 2%.
Yeah,
like they would need everything.
Yeah, he's going high in DraftKings drafts, which is insane. I mean, it's like when we talk about certain plays paying for rake, it's a little bit different situation, but I mean, it gives you
for rake in my opinion.
I mean, it at least brings it down a little bit,
Yeah, for sure. That's just like the people that stack in MMA. Like, you always need the people like that in certain sports.
Yeah.
Gotta say hi to our man, always in chat, Sean Sullivan, Go Collect, Nate D, Coach, Jason, Lone Star, Michael, Ryan Chapman, Alan, Joanne, Wins a Lot, Johnny Heft, Easy Bets. What is going on, everybody? Again, all we ask, like button, subscribe button, helps us out a ton. As you see up top, a lot going on right now in the DFS world. NFL is going on, college football, no better team out there, still going. PGA will be back shortly. NBA going on. Shout out to the team, Rio, Ham, BJ. Shout out to Nage and the NHL streets. MMA, last card of the year. Then we get like 3 weeks off. We'll be back. I mean, MMA is almost every single week besides this New Year, Christmas time. NASCAR, I'm not sure when it comes back. It might be back in a little bit. MLB, we still have a little wait. But NFL, college football, PGA soon, NBA, NHL, MMA. No better time to get over. No better time. Hey, I'll let you talk to Derek. Always say hi to Derek, and then lead us into our Black Friday deal we have going on right now that I'm not sure how long it'll be up for.
Yeah, I always got to point out the comment from our guy Derek. It's those students to work so he can tune in to the show while in the classroom. Absolutely love to see that. So glad to have you, Derek. In terms of, look at this. This guy's a professional, just pulling it up as I'm about to go into it. So still have the Black Friday deal going. BF50 gets you 50% off any all-access package over at SHIPITNation.com. You can choose a package that does include Shiptimizer as well. So any all-access package, 50% off, BF50. We adjusted our prices for NFL, well, I should say for football, because our football package includes college football as well. And I kind of always talk about on these shows, it's not like we just threw together like a college football product. We have 5 to 6 guys working on this, and we've had some really big wins in our community. You've seen it in Discord, you've seen it on Twitter. These guys are crushing. But obviously the football package includes NFL as well. It's going to include all showdown slates. It's going to include the playoffs, which are very exciting, huge prize pools for playoff DFS. So this gets you all the way through the season, $99. If you want the Shiptimizer, our optimizer, it's only $30 more, so $129. This will get you through the Super Bowl, showdown, playoffs, full slates, whatever, every single NFL main slate, we'll have you covered. So BF50 gets you 50% off your first payment with any all access package, $99 for the rest of the season, football, which includes NFL, college football, then $129 if you want the football package with the Shiptimizer.
And I do think I haven't looked ahead, but I believe in the past couple of years, there's a lot of like these 2-game slates and stuff like that. I believe Saturday, not this Saturday, but like around Christmas time and stuff.
There's one this Monday. Monday's a 2-game
This Monday,
slate.
2-game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to have a couple of those small slates. So yeah, I mean, no better time to join. And the NBA team, just in general, I mean, someone said MMA alone's worth the cost of subscription. Appreciate that. Maybe a little bias. NBA, though, I for sure will say that. Rio, nobody puts in more time and work than him. Ham, BJ, also the only ones out there with showdown content. Showdown prize pools are big. It's been a disappointing week in terms of games for NBA with the cup stuff, like 3-3, 2-2. Bad today. We have 3 games, back to normal tomorrow. Showdown doesn't go away, though, and prize pools actually raise. Saw multiple people in the Discord with the nuts yesterday chopping. So shout outs to the NBA team. And, of course, shout out Nades. I saw he did record an NHL quick hit, have the stone projections, everything for NHL like we do for all other sports. We're talking some NFL, though, hoop. My initial thoughts, so just a 48.5 total. 3-point favorites are the Niners. Isaac Garindo was big talks this morning. It did sound like he is going to play. Now, Kyle Shanahan and news it's really hard to trust him. We saw with the CMC stuff before. However, it's hard how do you not trust him at this point? Garindo is minus 140 to score. He practiced limited yesterday after not practicing Monday and Tuesday, coming off a monster game on Sunday, and we talked about it. It doesn't matter what name's in the backfield. Kyle Shanahan's scheme with this offensive line, with the weapons they have, plug anyone back there, give them opportunity. Think it's a strong play. 8,400 looks too cheap. Patrick Taylor, I mean, I like what DraftKings did. If he was out, you don't want 2K Patrick Taylor. He's in, though, 7.4K. Obviously, I'll set a max 1 rule. The other broad slate overview before we throw it to you for any broad slate or captains. Captain ownership looks to be getting spread out. I do think that's the case, and it makes sense. Like, there's plenty of options. Kyron Williams, Puka, Cooper Kupp, Jawan, Debo, Garindo, Kittle. If you want to go both quarterbacks, big total, plenty of good weapons on both sides. So I do think ownership at captain is relatively spread out. Any initial thoughts for you? Others you can take us into captain.
Yeah, that was kind of my initial thoughts. Like, just looking at the slate, we knew it would be spread out. I don't even need to know what the ownership percentages are because I know it's going to be spread out. And you have a lot of options, options on both sides. The Rams have 3 or 4 options, and then the Niners probably have even more options that you could potentially play. So the field's definitely going to spread it out. This is a slate for me that I think I can narrow it down. So I think this is a slate where I feel pretty good narrowing it down and then getting really overweight on my guys. And again, I'm not going to be worried about ownership. Talked about the last slate, kind of similar to last slate. I think someone nukes it. I think someone goes off. It was Jamar Chase. I had way over the field. Obviously didn't have the right combinations, didn't get the full, into the full winner circle. I, just did 150 teams, so it's always going to be pretty hard to find the absolute
you didn't get
optimal.
with your wife's account and the neighbors and jam
I should have.
450?
Yeah. That would have made it a little easier. Yeah, you start colluding like a lot of people in this industry. You have a better chance of finding it. But I think this is another slate where someone kind of goes off, and I'm going to really focus in on the guys that I think can go off. Before we fully dive in on the Rams side, I mean, what Puka's doing is incredible, and Matthew Stafford and him, the connection it's uncanny. I mean, I haven't seen anyone ascend to the top. Basically, he's been probably the best wide receiver, in the NFL, or right there, and Stafford just keeps going to him. And we know what Stafford loves to do when he has someone he likes. He'll just keep throwing it to him. I mean, look at his entire career with Calvin Johnson. Just chucks it to Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson made the play. That's what's going on right now with Puka. So obviously really like him at captain. Cooper Kupp, I think, is fine. I mean, Cooper Kupp, obviously, probably the attention of the defense is going to start to shift a little more to Puka, you'd imagine, should create some more opportunities for Cooper, and he's totally fine. But the one thing that definitely stands out, it's just one of those two, though, that it goes off. It's hard for Stafford, I think, to be optimal, because if he has the big game, either Puka or Cooper Kupp will just absolutely go off. So, Stafford's ownership in the captain is we have it at 6. It's probably low, but I just don't know if there's a path for him to get there. I wish Tambo was on the show, because he's been pretty good with nailing these quarterback captain situations. But for me, I can eliminate, I think, just about everything on the Rams side. And I know Kieran Williams obviously has some upside, but I'll be eliminating him in the captain. It's going to be Puka. It's going to be Cooper Kupp for me on the Rams side. A little more difficult on the Niners side, but you look at some of these guys and they're getting ownership. Like Kittle's getting 8, Debo's getting 10, Juwan Jennings is 13. Like if Jennings is going to be close enough to Debo and Kittle, like within 5, like, man, Juwan Jennings just looks like the guy there. And Purdy loves throwing it to him, so I'm interested in him. And then I do think there's pass for Brock Purdy, because he can spread it out. And there's some rushing upside too. Like he'll take off in the red zone. So like Purdy, Juwan Jennings stand out for me on the Niners. And again, I think I can narrow it down to 4 or 5 tonight and be, feel pretty good about my teams.
I love it. And I will say, you mentioned Tambo. He's definitely had a good read at quarterback. You see NFL under here, go to Showdown. Tambo does have his slate plan up here, and you will be able to see, is he going to play Matthew Stafford at captain? Is it 5 to 10%? Is it over 10, etc.? He will have his content up. So again, Showdown, Hoops player pool right here, core reports, myself for cash, Hoop, Scarface, Tambo, and then his slate plan right here. So definitely check that out. I'm in agreement with you. I mean, Puka coming in as the highest owned captain, 16%, maybe takes a little more steam, and he is the highest price at $11K. I'm still playing him, and I want to get overweight. This dude is a freaking monster. I have nothing bad to say about it. Any catch on the football field, when he gets the ball, his yards after catch, he's just an absolute freak. So, I mean, you feel pretty good with him. If he's on your season-long and best ball teams, I'm firing up with a lot of confidence, even at the highest price tag and captain ownership. He can just do it in so many ways, passes all the eye tests. The Cooper Kupp stuff, I don't love it as much just because of how bullish, I guess, I am on Puka, and it's a 1K difference. So, like, I do prefer Purdy because you save $1,600. Juwan Jennings, you save even more. Grindo, you save a lot. And this is where we differ just a little bit. Why I don't love Kupp as much is I prefer Kyron. And a lot of it has to do with just if Kyron gets it, it's not Puka, or they both can get there. But if Kyron scoring rushing touchdowns, it's not Puka there. He leverages off of Puka, leverages off of some Kupp, a little bit of Stafford, best TD prop on the slate at -160. And he's still getting a bunch of work, like 83% of snaps last week, 68, 91, 81, 93. It's a workhorse back, no doubt. I do think his ownership will stay in check. But you look down here, San Fran better against the pass than the run. They are good against both, but he falls in the box twice, -160. I think he very well could be optimal. So I have it. I agree with you on Stafford. Like, if Stafford throws for 300 or something, you think Puka's going for 150 or Kupp's going for 150, something like that. And I don't love that as much because you just expect one of them to get there. So I love Puka. Kyron's my second. Kupp would be my third. I do like on the 49ers side, though. I love Jawan. I like Garindo a lot. And then the other one would be probably Purdy Kittle. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 roughly captains for me. The Debo Price thing, man, just the game log and just watching this team, like Jawan Jennings is by far wide receiver 1. 70.5 receiving prop for Jawan, 50.5 for Debo. Yes, like he's going to get a couple rushing carries probably. They obviously want to get him involved. He's
just hasn't looked like the same dude this year.
Unhappy.
You know, just hasn't. Yeah. I mean, in this scenario last year with Christian McCaffrey out, right? Like he's going off. Like he's the man. He's the play. It's clear as day. This season, it just has not been the case in any of these scenarios, and he got passed up clearly by Jawan Jennings. The rushing stuff is not effective as it was last year, so I have some legitimate concerns with Debo. I mean, for me personally, definitely fine in Purdy captain teams. Definitely gonna play him in the flex, but man, I just haven't seen anything, and he's still getting a bit of ownership in the captain. Like I'll take that and allocate it elsewhere.
That's exactly where I'm at. And like it makes sense because of the price. He is really, really cheap at 7.6K. But I mean, you got to still do something to be captain. Yeah. Like even if he gets you a 15, which he hasn't got 15 in a long time, I don't think that's going to be enough. I think Puka, Kupp, Kittle, Garindo, whatever, someone's going to do something.
You're going to need at least 25. I mean, I think 20. Anyone you're playing in the captain, I think today you should count on them needing like at least 25. And probably, I mean, someone's probably going for 30. I mean, with what Puka's been doing, what Kupp's been doing, you can throw Kyron Williams in there. He's had some big games. Jawan Jennings has had the monster games. Purdy has had the monster games. Similar to the other night, and it was true. I mean, it ended up being true where I said someone's going off and they're going for 30. And there was comments in the chat, oh, well, no one's gone for 30 more than once this year. I don't give a shit about that. And it didn't matter last slate because Jamar Chase went absolutely nuclear. I think we see someone go nuclear again here tonight. I mean, so if I'm playing someone in the captain, I have to envision them scoring at least 25 points tonight.
So what about Kittle? He hasn't scored 25 in a little while, but he did score 24 last week.
Hey, we'll round up. We'll round up for sure with Kittle because I agree with you. Yeah, I mean it's been effective stuff. 6 for 6, 151, 24 fantasy points. Yeah, I could do the Kittle stuff. I can definitely do the Kittle stuff. I'm in on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, again, this ownership, like I think Debo will be higher owned, like we have it. Debo's $400 less. We have him projected at roughly the same right here.
Yeah.
Give me Kittle and his upside over what I've seen from Debo.
Same.
And I like Garindo. Like, just look what he did last week. If there was no injury designation on Garindo at this price tag, I wouldn't be surprised if he was like second in captain ownership behind Puka, one of the highest plays on the slate. Like 27% flex, 7% here. Maybe we're a little light, and I definitely we'll keep an eye on beat reporters and stuff like that pregame, all like how he's going through. But limited yesterday, he's running back 3. He's a rookie. Like Patrick Taylor has no future on this team at all. Does Garindo? Who knows? They at least drafted him though. Was good last week. We talked about the scheme. 3-point favorites at home. Talk about him a little bit, Hoop. I definitely will be overweight on Garindo.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be different there for sure. Like I'm not, I don't love him in the captain. I mean, it was 15 rushes. Only 2 receptions and found the end zone twice. Like to me, I think he's probably going to have to find 2 touchdowns tonight. Like, can he do it? Yeah, sure. I mean, he definitely can. I mean, he looks good. He looks solid, but I think he's banged. I think he needs 2 touchdowns tonight. And I'm going to pass on that in the captain. In the flex, for sure. I'm fine with him in the flex, but again, I'm really going to try to narrow it down. And he's a guy that I could potentially, or that I am most likely going to cut in the captain spot, but fine in the flex. But I get the play. I certainly get to play at home. No should have no competition whatsoever in the backfield. We know what the 49ers like to do when they have a guy back there. They ride him. He's their guy. I'm gonna be off of it though in the captain, but I get the play.
Yeah, I think a lot of it should, like last week, he had 56% of snaps because he got hurt, and then Patrick Taylor played a good amount. Like you give him 80% of snaps, I think he's one of the best plays on the slate. You think it's only 55 or he is banged up, they're going to get Patrick Taylor and stuff involved, then I wouldn't like him as much. Ranking my favorite 3 captains, if we had to do that, Puka 1, Jawan Jennings 2, and then I'm going to say both running backs, Kyron and Garindo, best touchdown props, favored to score, and again, both of their ownerships under 10%, staying in check. Obviously, Kyron is right there, but Puka, Jawan, wide receiver 1s, and running backs, if I had to say it, give me your top, I'll say 4 captains on the slate.
Yeah, it's going to be Puka / Jawan Jennings. And again, they are going to have some ownership, but it's going to be spread out on the slate. Like I think even what we have Jawan Jennings at like 13. Yeah, it's probably pretty fair. Like Puka at 17, probably pretty fair. I just don't think it's going to go up much higher than that. I mean, people are going to play all these guys, a lot of guys on the slate, and that's one thing people love to do. They love to spread it out, and it's going to be spread out. So I'm not worried about ownership. So it's definitely Puka, Jawan Jennings, and then after that, it's Purdy, some combination of Purdy and Kittle. I like the Kittle call for sure. And the nice thing about Kittle is over the years, like he does have the ability to just go off. Like if he gets going, he gets, emotional on the field, and they keep getting him the ball. So Kittle's always, in a game that I can see being somewhat high scoring or competitive, like he's always a guy that can just go off. So I that play definitely stands out as well.
I like it. Yeah, that pretty condensed to an extent at captain, like we talked about. You can definitely play a lot of guys. Like we're not talking Tutu, Atwell. It's not really for us. We don't like Debo as much. Stafford as much, who will get some ownership, but all those guys are going to get mixed in a little bit. You take away Stafford, 6% right there. Debo, 10%, you're at 16%. 2, 3, that's about 20% right there. Yeah. You can X out, and that's the stuff I would recommend if you're doing 20 entry and below. I think you can spread out 5 captains still if you want, but Xing out people that will get ownership is a way to eat into the rake. Talk about a lot in MMA, stuff like that. Hoop always does on this show. Anything else at captain, Hoop? Otherwise, you can take us into running back. Again, what stands out, 7,400 for the backup Patrick Taylor, Blake Corum, 3,200, use check, 2K, and there is not much value on the slate. So I'm interested to hear what you're saying about the secondary pieces.
Yeah, I like that point, though, that they brought up about like kind of cutting out some of these ownerships. Like on main slates, like it's impossible to do that. But on slates with a finite number of players, like MMA, where we typically have 24 to 28 options, similar to a showdown, 24, 28, you start slicing out these 10, 15%, 10% plays, 5% plays. It adds up in a big way and really creates multiple paths to the top for you. So I do like that call. In terms of the running backs, all of them, the ones that I play are going to be more flex plays. Like I said, I don't have a ton of interest in Williams or Garindo up top, but for flex, definitely interested. If you are playing like a Purdy captain team, Kyron Williams makes a lot of sense in the flex. Maybe the Rams are playing with a lead, kind of lean on him. And then Purdy's throwing it around a lot. So I think he's fine there. Blake Corum, I did want to pull up real fast just to see, because I feel like he's been getting more work. Yeah, eight carries. Yeah, 8 carries, 8 carries. So when he's out there, they're using him. 3,200 is cheap enough where if he does get in the end zone, he's probably, he has a pretty good chance to be on optimal. So I do like him. And these are the plays that I faded most of the season, like these backup sort of running backs, but he's getting legit work now. I mean, 8 carries, he could, probably has 10 carry upside tonight. So I think he's fine at 32. Use check is always a tough one. I mean, 2K, I just I don't like him all that much. I get it. They don't have many running backs, but man, I just don't love use check at 2K. I prefer Blake Corum over him by quite a bit. Use check. So we got Corum projected for 4.6 fantasy points and use check at 3.3. I really prefer Corum over use check, and then you can't click the Patrick Taylor name. I mean, it'll be like an unowned play, most likely. Well, actually, he's getting some sort of ownership, it looks like. We have 6%, like at 7,400. I guess the only way you play him is if you think Garindo is legitimately hurt, right? And then maybe you play him, but I can't get there at the 74. So Garindo, Kyron Williams, and these are flex plays for me, and then Blake Corum in that order.
Yeah, the Patrick Taylor, obviously if you play him, you don't play Garindo. I feel like the ownership is high at 6%, but I also think there will be people that remember, like Jordan Mason's got hurt. It feels like every single primetime Niners game, Garindo comes in as the backup and is on the winner and makes people plenty of money. I feel like it happened twice for these Niners game or whatever it was, CMC down, Mason in. So I think Patrick Taylor, just for that reason alone and to get different, might come to 5%. I mean, I think that's 5% paying the rake. As long as I hear no bad news about Garindo from a beat writer or something, I'm going to play like he's good to go. And 7,400 Patrick Taylor, got to be one of the worst plays on the slate. But definitely max one if you think otherwise. If you think Garindo won't play much, I would take a 5% starting running back regardless of the price. So that's my thoughts there. I agree with you on the Blake Corum stuff. The snaps still not great, but when he's in, he's getting used plenty, and they're not scared to give it to him at the goal line. When he is in, he's getting the ball. Obviously, it was a beast at Michigan, so don't hate that. And the value's tough on this slate. We're going to get to receiver in a sec. Tutu Atwell at 2.6K, I think will by far be the highest owned receiver down below, and that's assuming Demarcus Robinson's out. We'll get these questionable. We'll get there in a sec. I think pivot's right there. Blake Corum for a little more. I do think Kyle Juszczyk is a pivot below. The problem with him is he's a cardio machine. He's good with Shanahan. He's a good blocker. He's always in the right spot. The snaps are great. Look at him, 51%, 44%, 41, 39, 37, 57. He's playing a ton of snaps. He just doesn't do anything. He doesn't get any design runs or any of that stuff. Now,
it's like NBA DFS NBA player that plays. Yeah. He plays 30 minutes and he's standing in the corner. You hope he gets a pass over that way and he hits the three. That's like the sort of play that Kyle Juszczyk is. You hope that there's some sort of breakaway play where he kind of gets free and it's like the fourth option and they just kind of dump it to him and he does something with it. It's a desperation type play.
Well, let me throw that to you on this note. Last slate, we saw Drew Sample on the winner with 3. It was Hudson Sample for a little bit, and then I feel like someone overtook. I could be wrong, but it was 2 guys that scored 3 points and 1 point because you needed Jamar. CD did good. Burrow, Chase Brown, etc. Value's not great on this slate, and we do have Puka who can put up 40. Cup can always go 25. Jawan, Purdy, Garindo, Stafford, Kittle, guys can put up big scores. Any thoughts on is 2 or 3 enough from Juszczyk? Does that change your opinion on that at all? And again, both Corum and Juszczyk I think are pivots from Tutu Atwell. So they'd both be in my pool. Do I love it? No. Value's just really tough on this slate. So any thoughts on that before we get to receiver?
Yeah, I think it could be. I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, I kind of view the last game, I couldn't remember who they played, but it was the Cowboys and Bengals. Similarly to this, I could see 4 guys going off and then the other 2 spots, it just doesn't matter. It's 4 or 5 fantasy points or something like that. I do think this slate has that sort of potential. Is it likely? No. I mean, it's not likely to happen like that, but could it? I think, yeah, absolutely. It could be a similar run out to that slate. Yeah.
Yeah. And we haven't seen it much this year at all. I think Covey and that last slate was really the only time. Covey was a 0 for the Eagles slate, 1 and 3 double punts last time. They did lead to pretty big chops, but how it works on a slate, how I look at it, value's tough. Definitely the route today, value is tough. And the spend ups can absolutely nuke. We have a plethora of spend ups that can do exactly what happened Monday night. And then kickers, defenses, the mid-tier stuff. If it doesn't get there, Patrick Taylor's mid-tier. Debo doesn't do great. Ricky Pearsall, even Debo can be considered in the stars and scrubs build. I can definitely see that working. So Juszczyk would be in my pool. Do I like it? Not really. I do prefer Corum like Hoop says, but value down there, you're comparing him to Kobe Parkinson, Davis Allen if he plays, Tyler Johnson. Those plays aren't great either. So let's go to wide receiver Hoop. Again, Demarcus Robinson is questionable. I think he's going to miss. So that's what we're projecting right now. Tutu Atwell is the number 3. Tyler Johnson is the number 4. Niners side, it's really easy. It's Jawan, Debo, and Ricky Pearsall in 3 receiver sets when they run it. Take it away. How do you see the wide receiver room?
Yeah, not officially out, but the quote from yesterday did not sound very promising. We have him out. Other sites also have him out. So we're under the assumption that he's going to be out. If he's in, obviously things change. Tutu, Tyler Johnson, not as appealing, but we're under the assumption that D-Rob is going to sit, and so is everyone else. So I think it would be a surprise if he played. Like you said, the San Fran side's very easy. It's Juwan Jennings, it's Debo, it's Pearsall. I don't love the price on Pearsall. Like, he's fine, 48, but I prefer him in Purdy captain teams. As a standalone play, I don't love it, but definitely love Jennings. And then Debo, we kind of shitted on him in the captain talk, but I will have him in flex. And again, another guy that in Purdy, I'm going to play Purdy captain, and Purdy captain teams totally fine with Debo in the flex. So very clear on the San Fran side, the three guys, and then nothing else. And then it's also pretty clear, I'd say, on the Rams side. I mean, it's going to be mostly a large majority to Puka, a large majority to Cooper Kupp. And then you have Tutu Atwell at 2,600. You have Tyler Johnson at 1,000. Tutu is a guy, we always talk about it, and we didn't do the dry run here because it's only two of us. But if you just run an optimizer, you're going to get a shit ton of Tutu Atwell. He's 2,600. And he's projected, around 8.5 fantasy points. So he's going to get a lot of ownership. We have him at 27. That's probably pretty fair. I mean, I guess it could potentially get a little bit higher because we don't have a ton of value, but he'll be the highest owned, cheap play on the slate. And someone put the question in there. Yeah, I mean, I think, Tyler Johnson's a totally fine pivot off of Tutu Atwell. I mean, their floors are both 0. I mean, realistically, they both have a floor of 0. We've seen Tyler Johnson, make some big plays this year, and he's going to be a fraction of the ownership. So I really like Tyler Johnson as a play. And, obviously fine with Tutu. I'm going to play a lot of Tutu as well. We don't have a lot of value on the slate, whatsoever. But Tutu is not a slam dunk play by any means. He's not. He's just the highest projected guy. He's going to be out there a lot. Stafford drops back to pass. Obviously, he's looking to Puka and Cooper Kupp, which, makes sense. So wide receiver stuff, I think, is very clear. I mean, you have 7 legitimate plays. There's not many other guys that are going to be even on the field. So you got those 7, and they're all fine depending on how you're building teams. I mean, my least favorite by far is Ricky Pearsall. I mean, he's just kind of fallen off, and the emergence of obviously Juwan Jennings has hurt him a little bit too. He just hasn't gotten anything the last few weeks. So I'm fine with him, but prefer him definitely in Purdy captain teams opposed to a standalone play.
That makes sense. I'll play devil's advocate, and why I like Ricky Pearsall is his ownership and where he's priced around. Kickers, 5.2 Moody, 5K Cardi, 4.8 Pearsall. Then even the defenses for 800 cheaper than the Niners and the Rams. I think that ownership will be relatively similar, even though we do have 15 for the Niners, 7 for Pearsall. You see it projected. 2 points almost. The Niners are projected better and 800 cheaper.
And let me clarify, I guess, what I fully mean. I'm probably going to end up being overweight on Ricky Pearsall, to be honest with you, because I really like Purdy captain teams tonight. And I'm only playing probably a limited number of captains. So I don't love him as a play, which I guess is kind of weird to say that I'm going to be overweight on him, but that's just how I'm going about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have a lot of Purdy captain. So he is going to be in there, and, we're showing 7%. At this point, probably pretty certain that I'm overweight on him. And again, I don't love him. I actually really like the position. So all the other guys, I'm probably overweight on him as well. So it's a weird situation where I don't love him, but I'll be overweight, I guess, is the best way to put it.
I mean, these values down here, sub 5K is all tough. And give me a first round wide receiver who's actually good at football, who's on the field about 60% of the time at sub 10% when everyone in his range is over 10%. That's how I see it. I think on a slate, it's pretty hard to get different. That's one spot I'm definitely interested in. Otherwise, no other hot takes. Of course, I love Puka. I'll play him in both, Cooper Kupp, etc. The Tutu Atwell stuff, it makes sense. He's projecting by far the most and coming with ownership, was the biggest beneficiary without Demarcus Robinson, but it's not just him. Tyler Johnson mixes in. Whittington, the whole our nemesis, the guy that absolutely nukes, then the next week gets a complete did not play or something. He rotated in a little bit, Demarcus Robinson. That's 60-70% of snaps. If Demarcus Robinson is out, that has to go to some other guys. They do run a good amount of 3 receiver sets. So while I do agree Tutu should be projected the highest, we play an ownership game theory game. I mean, that ownership relative to Tyler Johnson, et cetera, feels a little high. Now I definitely will be playing 2-2, easier to leave money on the table with him. Drop a kicker down to 2-2, defense to 2-2, et cetera. Jawan, Debo, you guys know I like Jawan more, but all of them should be in the pool. Nothing really more to add. I do think it is those 7 guys. And again, that is assuming Demarcus Robinson is out. If he is in, again, all of our content projections, the stone will be updated, core reports, player pool from Hoop, Slate plan from Tambo, everything will be reflected with the news. Inactive's always important. It's tonight the Debo game? I hope not, CW. Let's take it into tight end Hoop. I'll let you throw it, or I'll let you take it away. We talked about Kittle, and then it's just value for days after that.
Yeah, in on Kittle for sure. We talked about him in the captain. I think we both like him in the captain, so definitely fine with him in the flex. Good to put in those Purdy captain teams if you're going that route for sure. I mean, he has touchdown upside. The Purdy captain stuff is you're hoping he spreads it out. So if you're hoping he spreads it, and I do like if you're playing Purdy captain to have at least 2 of these pass catchers with him tonight. I don't think I'll necessarily make a rule to have 2, but that would be my – yeah, you think so?
I think it'd be hard. Like if it's just one person, don't you think it would just be Jawan instead of Purdy getting there, or Debo instead of Purdy?
Well, I mean,
like you would need to rush in one.
If it's exactly, and I think he has that potential. So I don't want to it's not going to be a good number. Yeah, so like he will take off though. So that's the reason why I don't want to fully set that rule, but I think
like a use check even, like maybe one catch there. Like I just maybe I wouldn't make the rule, but like Pierce, I'd rather play like Pearsall instead of the kickers or defenses in a Purdy team.
Yeah, I think a majority of my teams will just be that anyway. So I'm going to be way over on Jawan. I'm going to be way over on Kittle. I'm going to play Debo obviously in the flex. I'm going to play Pearsall in the flex. So I think a majority will. But if you're hand building a Purdy captain team, I would definitely go in and put two pass catchers in there. It's a long way of saying that I like George Kittle tonight. On the Rams side, it's obviously a little dicier. Parkinson's another guy that's going to probably show up on a lot of teams. We have him, he's 1,600. We have him projected for 4 fantasy points, which at 1,600 is a pretty big number. So he's going to show up on a lot of teams. Davis Allen questionable. I think probably the only like true questionable play on the slate. I think D-Rod's probably out. So if he were to be ruled out, Parkinson's number goes up, like that 4 projection number goes up, and his ownership also goes up. Without a ton of value on the slate, like it would be hard to ignore. So that's like the one thing to watch for. Either way, Parkinson I think is a fine play. But if Allen's ruled out, it makes him even stronger. He'd be the main guy there. So that's the one bit of news to watch for. The Hunter Long guy would be a $200 punt. I guess you could probably play him either way if you wanted. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to do that, but I guess you could. And then like Saubert or Saube, however, I don't know if it's Saubert. Yeah, I don't know if it's silent. It is Saubert. So I don't love that either. So I don't know. I mean, as it stands now, it's mostly it would be Kittle and Parkinson, maybe Davis Allen, but I don't want to really mess with those super fringe plays.
I mean, it just shows how bad value is. Like Parkinson, he finally, after getting benched for Davis Allen a little bit, outsnapped the tight end room the past 2 games, but that's 36% of snaps in week 13. Allen, 32%, Hunter Long, 34%. Last week, week 14, 48% for Parkinson, 29%, Allen, 23 Long. And the dude literally gets 1 target max a game. Like, is 2 enough on the slate? Like, maybe. I think that's the reason to be with Parkinson. Like, it'd be a little better if Davis Allen's out, but talking like on the route tree, Stafford's eyes. Puka, he's not open. Cup, he's not open. Atwell, Johnson, Whittington, even Kyron maybe, and then Parkinson. So, I mean, he'll be in the pool, but I most definitely do not love it. Hunter Long, there's just really no min-price viable person. He's on the field, but again, cardio for days. Like, I don't expect anything. I don't love tight end today. Like, I thought the sample Hudsons of the world made some sense last time. It's really hard to get excited about it. Kittle, Parkinson, then probably nothing else really for me. Kickers D-Hoop, we talk again a little bit about these kickers. We'll be getting some ownership in that mid-tier without much competition. And then defenses, probably a little more than you expect on a 48.5 total. again, it comes back to value stinks on this slate, and they're projected for something. So how do you see it today?
Yeah, yeah, like you said, it's just like the byproduct of where these defenses are priced and not a ton of value. Like they're going to get some ownership today. I mean, and I'll be doing that. I'll be under most likely. And I think the number is higher, to be honest. The Rams were showing 13, 49ers 15. I think it could be higher just because there's not much in that range. Whatever I get, I get. The part that sucks for me is I typically like the kickers, and I don't love the kickers tonight. Like I'm going to play them, and I just don't love them, man. I don't know. It's like, did you see how aggressive the Rams were on offense? And I get it was like a shootout back and forth, but they went for it on like 4th and 5.
It was so smart.
Right,
Doug McDermott's donkey ass pushed them back when they on 4th and 8. They got an extra couple yards and they went for it, like we talked about Monday for sure.
Yeah. So like, I don't know, are they going to continue to play more aggressive? Their offense is kind of at full strength. Like if they were going to continue to play more aggressive, I think it would make sense. And that's obviously not good for kickers. But the one thing that always is in the back of my head on these showdown slates, it takes one 50-yarder and then the guy's in play to be optimal, and you can get that like the end of the half or something. So I'm fine with them, but like neither of them have been productive at all lately. Like Moody, his last 4 games, 8, 4, 5, 5, 12, 8, 13. He's only had 1 game over 13 all season long. I know he's injured for a while. And then this Cardi guy, like his last 4 games, 8, 3, 2, 4. Had a 19 spot, 8, 4, 2. He's been over 15 once all season. Oh, I just don't love them tonight, man. Like usually I feel good about getting overweight, but I think both offenses are going to continue to be aggressive. Like neither of them really have much to lose at this point. And again, McVay's a guy that you can always count on to do donkey shit, but like he was kind of smart last week and it worked. Like, will he continue to be aggressive? I think he is, like with his offense fully healthy. So gonna play some, but you guys know me. Like I'm always super excited to play the kickers. I'm just not as excited. I'm gonna have them, but I'm not super excited.
Makes me like my man Ricky Pearsall even more.
Maybe we circle back and get more Ricky. That's a good call. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, look at this. So let's pretend Patrick Taylor's irrelevant since we didn't like him much. Debo's 7.6. Then you drop down to the next cheapest guy, Jake Moody at 5.2.
Yeah.
2.4K. You are forced to play. Then it's Moody, Cardi, Pearsall. Then the next cheapest, both defenses. Then you're talking Corum, Tutu, Juszczyk, which makes me think Tutu is going to get even more steam than 27%. The more I think about it, he's projected better than the defenses.
Yeah, it's got to come up. It's got to be. I mean, it's just, you're just going to land there. I mean, he's projected better than like the kickers. He's projected better than everything in that range. So he is going to get. He's going to get some owner. It's going to be higher, I think. Now that we talk through this,
it's just a dead range at the end of the day. Like, it's pretty much impossible to fade both. Nothing's impossible. You just click the X button. But I don't love the idea of fading both kickers' defenses. But I'm hesitant on it, and that's what I just keep coming back to. Who's in the range of all of them? Pearsall sandwich in between them at less ownership than all of them will be on the field. One play, he can outscore all of them guys. So, yeah, it's a tough slate. It also makes me think, again, wrapping up DraftKings, we could see a slate like Monday. If Puka, Cooper Kupp, Kittle, if these dudes are getting 20+, 2 could be enough. 3 could be enough. Any final thoughts on DraftKings Soup? Otherwise, take us to the awful pricing on FanDuel.
Man, it's the same crap over on FanDuel, man. I agree with you, though. I think like we kind of opened going down that path where I think we both kind of agree it could be very similar to Monday, where you get, at least one guy that goes off and then like 3 or 4 others that have really solid games. Like I think I could definitely envision that. And that's kind of how I'm going to be playing it, to be honest with you, tonight. And I think the one thing that you can do, regardless of who you like maybe you like, Debo or whoever, like narrow it down, because it is going to get spread out at the end of the day. All these guys are appealing. Like Stafford's going to get some captain ownership. Kyron Williams will, Puka will, Cooper Kupp will, Brock Purdy will, Garendo, Jennings, Debo, Kittle, all will get probably at least 5% ownership in the captain. So you have I don't even know how many that is, like 8 or 9 guys that will all get some. It's going to get spread out. So narrow it down for sure if you can. That's my one piece of advice. And you might eventually just have to cut out this FanDuel thing. I mean, it's just so stupid what they're doing now. I mean, it's They take one guy and start at like 15,000, then the next guy's 500 cheaper, 500 cheaper, 500 cheaper, 500 cheaper, 500 cheaper, all the way down. You got Puka at the top, then it goes to Kyron Williams, and then it goes. I mean, it's crazy. Then it goes to Purdy.
Whose idea do you think that was? They never used to do this.
It's just got to be an easier way to do it, I'm assuming. And it must just be super simple. So the only thing we're going to do here is look for prices that stand out. Jennings at 10.5 is criminally underpriced. That's way too cheap. Debo, even at 9.5, like that's Debo's price right there with kickers, essentially, like 1,000 more than Jake Moody. Like, definitely interested there for sure. Like him much better on FanDuel than on DraftKings. You got the kickers. What cheap plays? Pearsall at 7K. We talked about Pearsall. 7K is very cheap. That's close to the minimum. 5,000 is a minimum. I think he's fine there. Patrick Taylor's 10,000. I mean, I can't imagine clicking that name. We got Tyler Johnson 5.5, Parkinson 6.5. I mean, it is what it is. The quarterbacks typically get more MVP ownership. Probably the case. Stafford has a really cheap price tag, 12.5. I don't know. It's FanDuel. Hopefully the saying goes true. FanDuel sucks, but Hoop wins over there. Hopefully that part remains true, despite the bad product.
Man, what an awful product.
Bad product for Showdown, I should say. They've done a good job with the main slate stuff.
For sure. 100% for Showdown. They just go, we talk about it all the time. Go to the NBA. MVP, All-Star or Star, Pro, whatever, like 1.5x, 1-2, just make it so it's not one captain, or MVP. You don't spend any more money. I think it's an awful FanDuel Showdown slate. I would definitely allocate. Most people can get as much money as they want on DraftKings down. That's what I do. I would definitely be doing that. Like Debo's 9.5. As much as we shit on him, 9.5.
9.5. Yeah, that's just bad. Really bad. No effort. No effort, obviously. They got this $500 difference between players, and they're just going to roll that out and go from there.
If I had to do anything and build a team, I would fade both quarterbacks and Puka and just hope it's Kyron, Kupp, Jawan, Kittle, and that sounds like you're donating money that way. But that's how you would not get a big chop up top is how I see it. Hoop, again, awesome stuff. Always enjoy talking football with you. Again, we do have our football package. We moved it down. Some people still charging the same, like it's week one and still charging no one's buying it, of course. But come on, only a couple months left. We're taking you all the way to the Super Bowl. $99 for the rest of the season. Does include college football too. And again, the team's absolutely been crushing it. If you want the Chiptimizer, $30 more. Includes the NFL also. BF50 if you want all access. NBA is absolutely crushing it. NHL going on. MMA this week, then back in a couple weeks. Again, obviously all access gets you NFL and college football too. The last thing I want to mention, definitely get in the Discord. All of our packages except the weekly includes the Discord. No better community out there. Plenty of people in chat like Philly Phantom, Sean Sullivan, Go Collect. A lot of people you see in YouTube chat always helping contribute in the Discord. Again, good luck to everybody in the best ball, the season-long streets. Hoop, final words for the people.
Yeah, good luck to everyone. Let's start. What is this, week 15? Man, it's flying. We talk about it on every show, and I'd say the same thing at every show. It'll be gone before we know it, but it's week 15. Start out week 15 with a bang. Let's get in that winner circle tonight. Again, if you're not a member, come on over. Cheapest, most affordable pricing in the industry, SHIPITNation.com. Get in the Discord, join the community, while it's hot. So we'd love to have you. Good luck in your contest. And again, let's start week 15 out strong.
Let's do it. Again, appreciate every single one watching. Like button, subscribe button on the way out. Helps a ton. All content will be up. NFL Showdown, as you see, hoops, player pool, Tambo Slate plan, core reports, the Stone. If any surprising news like Robinson, Allen, Garindo, anything random happens, we will update like always. Good stuff, Hoop. Appreciate every single one watching. Good luck tonight for Hoop. I'm Title Town. Be safe. Peace.